Dune Imperium might be the best thing since sliced bread. It is an amazing game with a die-hard following. This one is up to number 6 on Board Game Geek. Now, whether you're a newcomer to this game or you're looking for some extra tips and tricks, stick with me, I've got your back. Every battle is won before it's even fought. We need a game plan even before the game starts. Otherwise, we're going to fall behind really quickly. Now, there's a few different ways you can lean, and there's a few factors that might help you decide which way you want to go. The first thing I want to talk to you about is the character cards. Now, the character cards have some powers on there that could be beneficial to certain strategies, but they're not the be-all, end-all, particularly the signet ring abilities. Keep in mind that signet ring ability, although helpful, is only on 1 out of 10 of your basic starting cards. As the game goes on, you're going to be grabbing newer, perhaps even more useful cards that you're going to opt to play instead of this. So keep that in mind. Another thing you should always remember is the person to your right is always going to have a chance to activate before you do. If you've got a similar game plan, they're always going to beat you to the punch for the best spaces.
I am Evil Morgan. I am Evil Morgan. I am Evil Morgan. I am Evil Morgan.
Hey, I was going to go there.
Sucks to be you.
Okay, so how do we win Dune Imperium? We need victory points. 10 at least. And there's a few different ways we can do that. Let's start talking about the Alliance track. All these spaces on the Alliance track are not only home to some of the most powerful spaces on the board, but they also grant you power to go up in influence with these factions. If you've managed to gain 2 influence with each of these factions, then that's a victory point right there. 4 victory points in total. Now, this is something you must not dismiss. These are victory points that cannot be contested. No one can take them away from you, and they should be easy enough to do. So at some stage of the game, you want to have at least these 4 victory points. Another thing to talk about is the Alliance tokens. There is a threshold, and if you manage to cross it first, then you gain the Alliance token, which is a temporary victory point. However, if someone overtakes you, you're going to lose that victory point. You need to look for cards that will secure your alliance. Cards that you want to look out for if you're going this particular route are shifting alliances and power play. Combat can be an efficient way to get victory points. How do we make sure that we win combats? We need to make sure that we are going last. If we're going last, that means that we have the final say when it comes to deploying troops into the conflict. There's a few ways that we can do this. The Mentat is the easy enough way to do it. Investment of 2 Solari means that you get an extra worker, but if we want to be reliably doing this every round, then we need to unlock our Swordmaster. So getting those 8 Solari, beginning of the game, very, very important. The next thing I want to talk about is when we resolve combat, we're using a lot of these cubes. They're going to be removed once the resolution of the combat happens, and you're left with an empty garrison. So what is a sustainable way that we can ensure that we're fighting in those combats, but we're still keeping up that strength? We need to use the reveal effects of our cards. One of my favorites is Worm Riders. You get a ton of swords for just revealing 1 card. So keep an eye out for these cards. They're going to be really helpful to you securing your victories. Another thing to be mindful of is those intrigue cards. They have a lot of ways to really empower your troops on the ground. So be mindful, if an opponent has lots of those, be wary that they could do a surprise attack on you. Now, before I move on from combat, another thing to note is the rewards in combat are really awesome. So even if it's not your focus, you should be considering putting a troop or 2 into the combat if everyone else is holding back. Just that little investment could mean the difference of 5 spice or getting the Mentat for a turn or anything like that. So consider jumping in when the time's right. Deck building is another way to accrue victory points. If you manage to gather up 9 persuasion, then you can pick up the spice must flow. However, doing so is not an easy ask. How are you going to pull that off? Well, card draw is the key there. You need to make sure that you're picking up cards like Lady Jessica and utilizing spots like the research station and selective breeding. In addition to the spice must flow, there are other ways to get victory points through your deck building. If you are going through your deck very quickly, drawing cards every turn, then you want to look out for cards like Opulence, where you can trade resources to get victory points. The more often you're going through your deck, the more often that card is going to come up with more opportunities for more victory points. The last tip I want to leave you with is make sure you're having fun. This is a great game, and every time I've played it's been an absolute blast. So enjoy yourself, don't stress too much about winning. Now, if you enjoyed this video, I strongly encourage you to subscribe. It helps me out, and I've got a goal at the end of July. I want 100 subscribers. So thank you for helping me achieve that. Have a good one, guys.